Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for joining me on this episode of my YouTube channel. And as you can tell in the image to my left, we are rehashing the Karen Amy Cooper, who made an appearance last spring when she was in a video that went viral where she was walking her dog unleashed in a part of Central Park called the Ramble, where dogs are required to be on a leash, and a bird watcher named Christian Cooper asked her to put her dog on a leash, and she went ballistic. I guess that's about the only way to say it. But here is the video in case you don't remember.
Would you please stop? Sir, I'm asking you to stop.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And I'm
me.
taking a picture and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I'm in the Ramble, and there is a man, African-American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African-American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And my... I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
Now, at the end of that video, she ended up putting her dog on the leash, and you can hear in the video at the end Christian Cooper, the man involved, saying thank you and then continuing on. But let's go over this. Amy Cooper went viral in a video last year when she was walking her dog in a part of Central Park known as the Ramble. Christian Cooper, a bird watcher, came across Amy Cooper, no relation between the two, and asked her to put her dog on its leash. Dogs are required to be leashed in the Ramble because unleashed dogs running around scare off birds, and that's what the bird watchers are there for, is to bird watch. And if the birds get scared off by roaming dogs that are unleashed, it doesn't work out. I'm sure city officials, when they made the ordinance to have your dogs leashed in that part of the park, it had to do with bird watchers saying, you know, if dogs are running around unleashed, the birds get scared off and we have no reason to go there and do our bird watching. And I'm sure the city officials look at it like, you can walk your dog on a leash perfectly fine, then bird watchers can do their thing. You can coexist. I'm sure that was their mentality. Amy Karen Cooper made it explicitly clear to Christian Cooper, a black man, that she was going to call 911 and lie, saying that a black man is threatening me and my dog. To Christian Cooper's credit, he didn't back down to Cooper's threats and continued filming till she put the dog on the leash, as I said, after which he said thank you and carried on his way. Miss Cooper, who was an employee of the Franklin Templeton Investment Fund, was fired after the interaction went viral and acquired so much attention. A statement was released from Franklin Templeton at the time, and this is the statement they put out back then last year in the spring. Following our internal review of the incident in Central Park yesterday, we have made the decision to terminate the employee involved effective immediately. We do not tolerate racism of any kind at Franklin Templeton. Well, Amy Cooper's back in the news. She's back in the news this time because she's suing Franklin Templeton for firing her. Her lawsuit alleges racial and gender discrimination in her termination. The lawsuit alleges that Amy Cooper was characterized as a privileged white female Karen due to the company's public statements, and alleges that the company did not perform an investigation into the incident as publicly stated, and did not speak with Christian Cooper or obtain the full 911 calls. Her lawsuit also alleges that she did not shout at Christian Cooper or call the police due to racism, but that she was alone and frightened after being selected as the next target of Christian Cooper. There is, according to the complaint, an ongoing feud between dog owners and bird watchers in Central Park. Her legal complaint also alleges she would not have been fired if she were a different race or gender, which is highly speculative. I don't know that a court is going to really engage with that, because what happened. The people involved are the people involved. You can't say that if she was a black female that had the same response to Christian Cooper, that the black female wouldn't have been fired, or a white male. But needless to say, there was a good chance if she was someone else and Christian Cooper came along and asked her politely to leash her dog because it's required, it's reasonable to assume a reasonable other person would have just put their dog on a leash, because they probably know the rules in that part of the park. But she is claiming that her firing was due to her race and gender. The complaint also alleges Ms. Cooper suffered severe emotional distress and that she was suicidal. Amy Cooper is seeking damages for lost wages, bonus, and unvested funds, as well as emotional distress damages for alleged racial and gender discrimination, defamation, and negligence, among other counts. Franklin Templeton spokespeople said they will defend against the baseless claims. A day after the original confrontation last year, Amy Cooper issued an apology on a CNN interview, and her apology was this: "It was unacceptable, and I humbly and fully apologize to everyone who's seen that video, everyone who's been offended, everyone who thinks of me in a lower light, and I understand why they do. I'm not a racist. I did not mean to harm that man in any way. I think I was just scared. When you're alone in the ramble, you don't know what's happening. It's not excusable. It's not defendable," she says, after trying to excuse and defend what she did. Christian Cooper, the birdwatcher in the altercation, accepted Miss Cooper's apology on an appearance on The View TV show. He did say it was part of a deeper problem with racism in American society. And in July of last year, after the video, Amy Cooper was charged and pled guilty to falsely reporting an incident in the third degree. That charge was dropped when she willingly went through counseling intended to educate her on the harm of her actions. And Amy Cooper's job at Franklin Templeton was head of insurance investment solutions. Now let's break all this down, and you saw the video. That was the full video of the interaction, and what we had was Amy Cooper, who claims in the aftermath, in the fallout, that she was scared. However, as you saw in the beginning of that video, when Christian Cooper came upon her, he started filming her with his phone, and she started approaching him, and he told her, "Please don't walk towards me. Please don't walk towards me," showing that she did not show any fear whatsoever. I mean, if you are afraid of somebody, you're not walking toward them. I mean, she felt, and I mean, my perspective on this video is she felt that she had all of the power. And this is, in my view, a case of white privilege, clearly. because she felt that she had the power. I mean, she was in the wrong from start to finish. She was the one in the wrong from start to finish. Christian Cooper was a dude who was out after work, on his day off, whatever the case was, looking for birds. He's a bird watcher. That's what he does. In his spare time, apparently, with some of his spare time at least, he came upon her. Her dog was not on the leash. He knows the rules in the ramble. I'm assuming she knows the rules in the ramble. And he just politely asked her to leash her dog. And that's when the altercation started. And he started filming her behavior after asking her to put her dog on a leash. And she made it clear in the video. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call the police and say, you're threatening me. Because she knew that if the police showed up, even though she was the one who was in the wrong, the police showing up would be bad for him, not for her. She understood the privilege she had as a white woman, that if she called the police and the police showed up, and we've seen plenty of police interaction videos in our lives. I mean, I'm sure whoever's watching this video has seen plenty of videos of police interactions where there is a, particularly in this situation, a white woman and a black man involved, and the call pertained to a white woman being threatened by a black man in Central Park. Police are going to show up most likely with their guns drawn. They're going to show up barking orders at the black man who was the one who was completely in the right from start to finish here. And if he tried to start explaining to them the situation, most likely the police would take that as an affront to their manhood and would end up getting physical with Christian Cooper, the man involved. Whether they would tase him or pepper spray him or physically tackle him to the ground and be violent with him. That's what I would expect. I would expect that if the police showed up. She knew she had the ability to threaten him by calling the police. That is the white privilege. That is the fact that she knew, even though she was the one who was completely in the wrong, that she could call the police and flip the script on him and make him be the bad guy because he's the black guy. And in addition to all of this, if you paid attention in the video, you saw that Miss Cooper was holding her dog by its collar, oftentimes with its paws off the ground. The dog was gasping for air, was coughing, clearly signs that it was choking. It was a rescue dog. Another aspect to this was after that video went viral, the facility she had got the dog from went back and reclaimed the dog from her, seeing that she was not necessarily a concerned dog owner. She wasn't concerned with the safety of the dog, or she wouldn't have been doing that to it. For anyone who is an animal lover, particularly a dog fan, dog lover, you're not going to do that to your dog. She was showing that she wasn't concerned for the safety of her dog. What she was concerned for was her ego. And this, you know, my perspective is what she was showing there was an obscene amount of white privilege, where she was claiming, she's now claiming victimhood, and she was in the wrong with her dog off the leash, going to threaten the guy to leave her alone because, in her view, she's like, don't you dare tell me to leash my dog. I'm a white woman. White people make the rules. We can violate them if we want. Don't tell me what to do. That's the way I view her mentality in this video. And now she's suing Franklin Templeton for racial and gender discrimination, a case that if she was to pursue it to court, I don't think she would have much success. I think she would have zero success, because she would have to prove that they fired her because she's white and female, instead of the fact that the reality is, and you have right-wing people who talk about this a lot, vilifying companies if they support any kind of left-wing ideology in their minds. If they don't wholeheartedly support right-wing stuff, like the companies in Atlanta and Georgia that have issues and are showing their dislike of the voter suppression laws that the Republicans have passed, and they're receiving threats from Republicans and companies. It has nothing to do with left and right. It has nothing to do with Democrat and Republican. Companies inherently are right-wing because all they care about is money. All companies care about is profit. All companies care about is their brand. In this case, whoever at Franklin Templeton in New York City, I'm sure executives above her, I mean, it sounds like she was probably a well-paid, higher-up individual in the company, not on the executive level, but the executives made the decision that because of how much bad press this incident's getting, they needed to let her go. They needed to terminate her. Not because of her race or her gender or anything else, because she's bringing bad publicity onto the company. There is the other aspect of this, that she could have some degree of a settlement from Franklin Templeton if they don't want this to drag out in court. I'm assuming that is her attorney's goals here, is to work some kind of settlement out of Franklin Templeton. And there's plenty of companies that could go to court in situations like this, fight and win easily, but to avoid bad press, they settle just to get rid of it. And so it depends on, as far as her lawsuit, unfortunately, the way things work in this country, the way companies want to avoid bad publicity, she can end up with a settlement if Franklin Templeton looks at it and says, you know, we can go through this period, this amount of time, this amount of money to go to court and fight it and win, or we could pay this amount of money and have her just go away. It goes out of the newspapers, it goes off cable news, nobody's talking about it, and it disappears and is gone forever. And that's why she's doing this, I assume, because she's an educated, intelligent person who had a well-paying, higher-up job at a investment firm in New York City, and she realizes that if they were to fight her all the way to a courtroom, it would cost them a certain amount of money. It would also be in the press. And they might be willing to pay a lower amount of money than what it would cost them to go to court to have it just go away. I'm assuming, why she's doing this. I'm assuming she's not so delusional that she thinks she has a case. Because she wasn't fired over her race or her gender. She was the one who was utilizing race the whole time. Even in her complaint, she refers to Christian Cooper, the man involved in this video, as he saw her as his next target, which, honestly, in my opinion, is defaming Christian Cooper. It's making him look like there's something evil about this guy, and he's just in the park to watch the damn birds. But there is a chance she can end up with a settlement, end up with money in a settlement. I don't know if she's moved on to some other firm. I don't know. I mean, most people go day by day and don't think one bit of Amy Cooper. When she's in the news, they may talk about her. They may talk about her the next day at work to somebody else, to a colleague, a friend, whoever. But this kind of thing, it blows up and then it blows away. And so I don't know if she's already got a job with another firm. I don't know if she's struggling to find a job because she became so toxic that firms are like, well, you had this one blow up in Central Park. We don't want this to happen again. You know, I mean, honestly, if I was running a company and was considering hiring her for whatever position, certainly for a high-paying position, I would want it in writing in the contract that you're not going to do this crap again. We don't want to deal with this kind of blowback publicly. We don't want our employees to go out and cause a PR mess for us. And, I have no delusions with my job. If I was to go out and behave like she did, get videoed, have it go viral, I assume I would be fired. I have no delusions about that. But I'm assuming she is a rather privileged woman to still be mad and still not understand that actions have consequences, words have consequences, and the things you do can come back to bite you, particularly if they harm the company you work for. If the company you work for views that as public relations harm, why would they not fire you? But she seems oblivious, and rather than accepting that she had some sort of, and I'm not going to say she's racist, but she has some sort of, whether conscious or subconscious, racial bias, understanding that as a white woman, even if she's in the wrong, she has the upper hand over a black man because she can call the police in, and the police will brutalize the black man, will assume the black man is in the wrong without taking account any assessment of the situation of what's going on. And she seems oblivious because she's still going with this claim that she was afraid. She was saying in her statement that when you're in the ramble, you don't know what's happening. I don't even know what she means by that statement. You know what's happening. You're in a part of the park where your dog's required to be on a leash. This bird watcher came upon you, started videoing you and asking you to put your dog on the leash. And the purpose for the video could have been the ongoing feud between the dog owners and the bird watchers in Central Park. That he's like, I'm going to record this and I'm going to turn it in to the officials in the city and let them know there are still dog walkers in the ramble without their dog on a leash. And it blew up well beyond that. She lost her job. I'm sure she's upset to not have her job anymore. It sounds like it was probably a very well-paying job. She was probably living a rather comfortable life. And now she's had more struggle than she wanted. However, it's due to her own racist actions. And that's where we're at now. Karen's doubling down on being Karen, and she's Karening it up to the utmost. But she's still fighting. Karen in Central Park is still fighting. But that's the video for today. Thanks for watching. Please, if you like the videos, give me a like. Please subscribe. If there's something you want me to talk about in a video, please mention it in the comments. And by all means, have a good day.